The automotive industry is going through a lot of changes right now, some because consumers want it and some because they have to. With respect to green vehicle technologies, there's a lot of different options that automakers are looking into, and the reason why is because they really don't have a choice. Around the world, legislation has been enacted that basically says automobiles have to have a certain minimum fuel efficiency standard for vehicles across their entire lineup. So how are they taking care of this? Well, what they're doing is they're creating different technologies, and each automaker has their own preferred route. Electric vehicles get a lot of talk, full battery electrics. These are the cars that you've seen before, the Mitsubishi Mievs, the Nissan Leafs, the Ford Focus EVs, and even the Teslas, the Model S and the Roadster, and the soon-to-be Model X. It's important to keep in mind, though, that saying an electric vehicle as a zero-emission vehicle, it's not truly zero emissions because you still have to fuel up the car by charging it overnight. And depending upon where you live, how you fuel up and the source of the electricity can vary depending upon some provinces use still coal, some are hydroelectric, some are a blend of each. But the bottom line is they greatly reduce the carbon footprint of the vehicle. So if you're looking for a fuel-efficient vehicle and you're not sure which technology to use, well, guess what? There's a lot of choices out there for you. Mazda, for example, has something called Sky Active. What does that mean? Basically, if you look at 100-year-old engine technology, well, it's a very simple premise. You create fuel goes into a chamber, spark is ignited, then you have a flame, it creates energy, and then that propels the vehicle. Well, guess what? These 100-year-old combustion engines still lose about 90% of the energy create out the door, and only 10% goes forward. Companies know they can do better than that. And Sky Active technology with Mazda said, you know what? It's not one technology, but a combination of things. Can we make the gear ratios more efficient? Can we make a vehicle lighter? Can we do a whole bunch of things together that save on fuel economy? And Sky Active shows typically about a 25 to 30% fuel savings. Hybrid vehicles have been in North America since about 2000, with the Toyota Prius being the first one sold in Canada. They've actually sold some 770,000 Priuses in Canada and 5 million Toyotas sold around the world. It's in fact the world's third top-selling car, which is really a good thing for consumers overall. However, Volkswagen just launched a brand new turbo hybrid Jetta, and they're the first hybrid vehicle I've seen where when you fully throttle to accelerate to get the highway speeds, there's a bit of an extra charge that comes from the battery. And therefore, the end result is that's the first hybrid vehicle I've seen where the fuel efficiency rating on highway is actually lower than it is in the city. We have to give more thought and more consideration to diesel fuel as well. You see, diesel engines have had a bad rap for years, but that's because they were dirty, lots of sulfur and noisy and ugly. But diesel has made huge advancements, both in the engines themselves and in the fuel. Low sulfur diesel fuel is the norm now, and in fact, they're so clean, you could put a cheesecloth at the end of a tailpipe and still watch it come out absolutely clean. The beauty of diesel fuel is there's about 30% more energy in diesel fuel than regular fuel, and that savings comes down in terms of the fuel economy you get. You don't need as powerful an engine, because the one thing about diesel too is you still get full torque. You get a higher torque but lower horsepower, and you still get great fuel savings overall. They're getting a lot more diesel models coming out on board nowadays. The Chevy Cruze will have a diesel, the Mazda 6 will have a diesel, even big trucks are going more and more into diesel. It's a way of the future. Critics of electric vehicles will say, well, it just doesn't work for me because I drive further than that. There is no one car for everybody. We have to remember that. If there was one car for everybody, we'd have one car in every dealership and every lot. And they're certainly working on improving that technology. Lithium-ion batteries are the main battery used, and we don't even know a lot of the chemical properties of how much we can actually put into that charge. And just as we saw computers evolve in memory and capacity and speed year after year, we're going to see that with electric vehicles as well. But studies have shown electric vehicles in urban applications, it's a commuter car, about 80% of commuters in North America have a commuting distance that is less than the range that you could put into an electric vehicle for your overall driving range. So there's a lot of different ways. We won't even get into the fuel cells because that's still not quite mainstream yet, and other technologies out there. Take the time, do your research, find out which is the best application for you, and then make that choice. One size doesn't fit all, so if you want to see how they're rated, you can check out something we just created. Myself and Peter Gorey of the Toronto Star just were the co-creators and originators of the Canadian Green Car of the Year Award, which is a co-joint project of the Green Living Show and the Automotive Journalists Association of Canada. The Ford Fusion Hybrid was the first winner, and in 2014, we've got an exciting lineup of more opportunities there to go. So lots of choices for you. Feel green, feel inspired, and make the right choice. For Sustainable Living Magazine, I'm Eric Novak.